Okay, here we're ready for another mural on black, and today I'm going to do some more jungly and foliage type of things so you can see different things. We did the underwater, and now we'll do some foliage. I am going to put a little bit of sky like it's peeking through the jungle, because just to add interest. So, oh, and my palette is white, blue, green, yellow, and red. I don't put them in any order or anything. I just put them off on the sides and sort of mix towards the middle. Anyway, I'm using the white and the blue. Just a little bit of blue because, boy, it really can, it's a very strong mixed color. And so you don't want it just to be too blue. And I'm making it sort of an odd shape as though leaves are in the way. And you'll see what I mean when I do the next part that we're coming to. Anyway, okay, so that's just a little bit of white and blue. Up there. Don't know if you can see that part. I realized when I was looking at the other that you couldn't really see everything in the corners, so I moved my camera. Okay, next I'm going to take another brush that was like the one I just had for the sky. This is a chip brush, and it's still wet from when I washed it, darn it. And I'm going to get all the water out that I can, and it's dripping on the floor. And I'm going to take a little bit of red and some green because that helps head towards the brown. I want a very dark green. And I might add just a drop of the blue in. You really can't see this on my palette, but a little bit of red and green. And then I'm going to pounce it. Into the sky area as though there's leaves, breaking that up. And I'm going to mix as I go. Okay? And I'm not going to do every place because there's going to be different shaped leaves. You'll see in a minute. Whoops, that's a little bit much red. I don't know if you can see that. And I pounce and roll my brush in my hand as I'm doing it. That helps give you a very random effect, just like leaves would be. You don't want this to be perfection because nature just doesn't look like that. I always try to mess it up a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit more up there. Okay, now I'm going to change my brush a little bit. Just a second, I'm going to get my brush unloaded of the paint here. I'm just kind of brushing the paint off my brush so that I don't waste it. Okay, now I'm going to go to, let me dry this one off too. I'm more of a brush like that. It has a squared off top and it pulls a nice line when you press it. I'm going to use the same paint colors, the red and the green, to keep that green dark. And I'm going to come in and use the side of the brush doing leaf figures. Okay. Normally, it would be a good idea to let this blue and white probably dry a little bit because it's very wet right now and I'm pulling some of it onto my brush. I don't totally mind that though because you can mix it in different ways and get a kind of a cool effect. But you see what I'm doing here. Okay. And again, brush your brush off just in a random way, and I'm rolling it like this when I'm pouncing down with it, making leaves. Okay, I'm going to continue over on this side. This is as though leaves are encroaching into the area where you're able to see the sky. Like if you were in the jungle or the Amazon or something like that, and it was very overgrown and okay. Get some more red and my green again. Getting a little too light there. The kitties are racing around again. They know, it's like kids. They know when you're on the phone. They know when you're trying to do something, and they just have to get in here and have a little action themselves. That was just my phone. Okay, almost done here. Now I'm going to get just a drop of water on my brush. Always be paying attention to how your paint is flowing, and never use a lot of water, but use a teeny little bit because it'll keep your flow going. I'm going to do a frond as though it's coming in to our lit area. Same brush. I did add just a teeny bit of yellow to the red and the green, so it lightens it up to a different green. I want to use loads of greens. I don't want all the same. And I'm just going to be pulling it down off the edge. Now, I know everybody's saying, well, how do you do that? Well, that takes practice. What I would suggest would be anybody who wants to do this, go ahead and get some newspaper or just junk paper and just practice making strokes. It's just all about brain and hand control and letting them get to be so that it's, so that it's just, so that you don't think about it even. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pretend there's a little bit more here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And now, how about we bring some coming over this way? I just picked up a little more water again. Like I was saying, you got to pay attention and make sure that your paint is flowing well. And I'm going to pretend that there's another one coming down this way. I'm just using the edge of my brush. Get a little bit more because it's still not flowing the way I want. I'm not going to make this this film as long, or this video as long. It's just, it's too long for people to sit around and watch it. I've bored myself watching all of the others, so. Anyway, there we go. Okay, now let me show you how to do some big fat leaves. I'm going to get a little more yellow because we want a different color leaf. I want it to be a little more greeny and not have the red in it. So I'm mixing yellow and just my straight green, maybe a drop of white. Not much though. Mostly just the yellow and green. So maybe sort of like the bird of paradise leaves, the large ones, not the orange ones. The white bird of paradise leaves are nice and fat, and so you can get a little more interest out of them. And you can just look online for, if you don't know a lot about plants or whatever, you can always look online and just see what it is you'd like to do and use those for reference. I've been doing these so long that I know which ones I want to show you and which ones I think that you'll be able to pull off easily. I'm only doing this because this mix of colors, because then you could always come back later after it's all dry and put the highlights and any detailing that you want to put on. Okay, how about we'll get a little bit more up there. Oops, I picked up some red again. By highlighting this, it will just pop it. I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to just do a little bit of highlighting while we're doing this video. Okay, now, see if I can get some highlights on this. I'm just using a little bit of white along with the yellow. Just in a few places, you don't want it everywhere. Okay, okay. Now, I'll get a different brush, one that's just a teeny bit smaller, like that. It's a square top also, but it's half the size. And I'm going to do some light green, maybe with a little bit of that blue mixed in to make it a totally different color, hopefully. Some grasses so that you get to know what that's like. That's just from the side of the brush running down. And when you're doing grasses, you're going to need a little more flow. So add some more water. And I'm just going to be crisscrossing them. Oh, add more water. I can tell when I'm dragging on the canvas. Okay. And see how the blue sky just sort of adds that little bit of brightness on a dark, jungly day. Okay, and I would normally also, just for composition's sake, I'm picking up my big square top brush again, because when I stand back and look at this, I realize I really need another big leaf coming in here. How about that? Same type. Remember, don't make anything perfect. It's all about nature, so you're going to have to, only when you make the man-made stuff like a building, then you need to do measuring and make sure it's straight on, and unless you're doing an impressionistic one or something like that. Okay, and I said I wasn't gonna let this video go on too long, so I'm gonna finish it off here. But see how black really is fun to work on? It just comes off of it. Do some highlights over here, V's. Get some light. That's just taking some yellow, putting it in a few places. I hope you can see that. You can highlight everything. Okay? Even the pom-poms you could highlight if you want to. Okay? That's it. Okay.